at BYU and how he compares to other BYU greats. Do we dare? Yes, it's just the stats.
When Zach Wilson took over the reins as the BYU quarterback last season, he became the youngest quarterback ever to start a game for the Cougars. In 7 games started by Wilson, his 65.9 completion percentage was the highest of any Cougar quarterback in Independence, with a minimum of 175 attempts. With Zach Wilson at the helm, could quarterback U be back at BYU? Let's look at just the stats. Through 7 starts, Wilson threw 11 touchdowns for 1,514 yards and only 3 interceptions. His 11 touchdowns in his first 7 starts are more than BYU legends Steve Young and Jim McMahon, who each threw for 10 touchdowns in their first 7 starts, while his 65.9% completion percentage trumps names such as Young, McMahon, Detmer, Bosco, Hall, and Beck in their first 7 starts, and Wilson's 3 interceptions are less than all 6 BYU greats. In their first full seasons as starting quarterbacks, these 6 BYU legends each threw for 3,000-plus yards, 20-plus touchdowns, and a completion percentage of over 60%. For Wilson, a 3,000-yard season would only be the second for BYU in Independence, and 20-plus touchdown season would break a 3-year drought for Cougar quarterback. However, since Independence began in 2011, there has only been one season where one quarterback has started every game for the Cougars in a season. This season, BYU has 5 quarterbacks listed on the roster, 3 of whom have seen game action: Wilson, sophomore Joe Critchlow, and redshirt freshman Jaron Hall. Hall went 12 for 14 for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns in the spring game. He is expected to begin the season as Wilson's backup. Whether this season holds one true starter throughout the season or multiple, BYU is not lacking in depth at the quarterback position.
That's just the stats.
Yeah, QBU, no. You'd have to have multiple again, right? When you had Max Hall and John Beck, we were like, they are in the pantheon now.
Yes.
Taysom Hill entered the pantheon, but you need multiple guys. So if Zach Wilson's awesome and then Jaron Hall's awesome, which, by the way, they're only separated by a year, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Good to have 2. Interesting. The thing that stuck out the most was, oh, wow, Zach Wilson was better in his first 7 than ding, 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 right? That's impressive.
That is very interesting.
That's impressive, yeah.
For sure. Now, I'm not sure any of the BYU quarterbacks will face a gauntlet of a schedule like Zach Wilson.
This year, yeah. Last year, the last 7 games that Zach played are akin to what some schedules were like in the WAC.
Sure.
Because there was Utah, there was Boise State in that, right? There weren't a ton of others that were like super hard. Hawaii wasn't that good. New Mexico State, obviously, and so on. Western Michigan didn't end up being that good of a team. BYU put 42 points up in the second half. That was awesome. I'm excited to see what he does his sophomore year. He's playing his 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th Power 5s consecutively.
And how much did the 18 for 18 performance in the bowl game affect those stats in the 7 games? Like, what were the stats before he played that game against Western Michigan?
Before we